welcome back to episode number 33. It's fitting of the Raise the Banner podcast. It's a Zdeno Chara episode. Episode number 33 of Raise the Banner. It's myself, Makator, as usual, here with our RTB co-host, J.R. Mott, and special guest, Jimmy Murphy. Jimmy, how you doing today?
Good, boys. Just watching a lot of hockey. I got the Denver BU game on in Frozen 4, 1-1 late in the third as we speak. And over to my right, I got the Penguins Red Wings 1-1, but very early in that game.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're going to jump right into it with the Bruins. Obviously, they have clinched a playoff spot. It looks, have they clinched the matchup with Tampa yet?
No.
Is it official?
No, it hasn't been set yet.
No.
Yeah, not set.
Seems that's going to hinge more in Tampa, I think. They'll be the ones, I think, that would be more to clinch that because they could still catch Toronto, theoretically. You never know.
They're 6 points back. They got 3 games left?
Yeah, counting tonight. Where are they tonight? I want to say Ottawa.
They're playing the Senators 4 games. So they're playing the Senators tonight.
I think they're playing in Carolina, and then they go on a road trip. Or wait, no,
they go.
They're playing at home versus Senators tonight.
Yeah, then they go at Washington, and then they're home against the Sabres, and then the Maple Leafs. So I guess theoretically it could line up to that last game.
Yeah, but it's more than likely it'll be Bruins Tampa, unless the Bruins lose outright and Florida wins outright, then they fall down into the second slot and they'll play Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that I think many people have been talking about is Tampa is kind of not the most ideal first round matchup. You would kind of prefer to obviously get, I would say, even Carolina. I don't know. I mean, I personally don't like facing Carolina.
Well, you can't face Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina's playing.
Oh, excuse me, I'm reading this wrong.
All right. I mean, I wish to go back to the 1-8 format, but yeah, right. As of now,
excuse me, Toronto. Yeah, that's obviously my mistake. I mean, Florida's probably pretty happy that they're going to be facing Toronto rather than Tampa Bay is what I was going for. But we'll come back to the actual Tampa matchup potentially. First question for you is kind of what seems to be, I think, will be one of the biggest storylines heading into the playoffs, and what the decision will be is, what is your viewpoint on the potentially goalie rotation? Do you think that they should do a rotation? Do you think they should stick with one, and maybe which one would you be leaning towards? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting. I'm very old school when it comes to that. I usually would say you just pick one, you ride him. As long as he's hot, and if he stinks it up or he gets hurt, then you pull the goalie, you put in another one. Like, I think, I was fine with what Montgomery did up until Game 5 last year against Florida. I thought that's when he should have put Swayman in there because it was pretty clear that Ullmark was fighting something. He was starting to go off. I think after it's interesting. I felt like after Ullmark got into it with Tkachuk, he was a little off kilter mentally. And then physically, he looked like he was struggling too. He's getting up a little slower. So I would have done it there. So I'm usually of that ilk where you just want to pick one guy. That's your designated starter in the playoffs. I think it's just easier that way usually. However, I have a story about this up on Boston Hockey Now, where I was talking to a NHL pro scout, a veteran scout that I've known for a while. Has been in the game for over 20 years. And, he made a good point. He said, actually, the rotation, as long as both of them are on, like they have been in the regular season for the last 2 seasons, he said, look, I think, you kind of could play some mind games with the opponent because they didn't have to prepare and scout for 2 guys, right? Usually you get in there, you're seeing the same guy game after game, you're getting used to his tendencies, and you start to read him, you start to adjust to him. But now you got to go back and forth, prepare for both goalies. And it's a lot more advanced scouting, and it's a lot more in the moment scouting. So it kind of gives an edge in effect to the Bruins. And, I find it interesting. If you go back, I think it was right before St. Patrick's weekend, right before they went up to Montreal. Montgomery had said, we're thinking about maybe riding a guy, seeing how that goes. Maybe that's what we want to do in the playoffs. But he never did it, right? He never did it, and he stuck with the rotation. Even as Allmark is clearly outplayed Swayman, he is stuck with the rotation. And then the other day, I mean, he was sounded all gung-ho about it. So I think, guys, I really do think that they're going to do this. I think they're going to give it a try, see how it goes up until game 5. And if one guy has completely outplayed the other, then maybe they ride him on from there. But I think for the first 4 games, you're going to see a strict rotation.
You think it'll be back and forth, 1v1?
I think you'll go Allmark Swayman for the first 4 games, and then take it from there.
Jared, where you were on this? What are your thoughts of what they should do?
Well, I've been saying for months that they should stick with the rotation in the playoffs because it gives the Bruins an advantage. Like Jimmy said, like you have the game plan for not only 1 but for 2, and also it gives another advantage if they don't release who's going to be the starting goaltender until the night of the game. So they have to do all this prep work on both goalies, not just one or the other. Like,
right.
It's mind games. And if anybody knows how to do it perfectly, it's Jim Montgomery.
Yep. So, I mean, I think that's what's going on there, guys.
It'll be very interesting. I mean, kind of like I mentioned, this is going to be one of the bigger storylines heading into the playoffs. And it's going to be one of those decisions where Montgomery, it all goes on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. If it works out, he looks like a genius. If they go a rotation and it fails miserably, he's going to look absolutely terrible. Or if he sticks with one guy. I mean, after last year.
Or he throws goalie Bob under the bus like he did last year.
That's also
a weird one to do.
I'm a huge Monty fan, but let's call a spade a spade. He threw Asenza right under the bus after that series. And I look, I'm a big, like I just said, I'm a big Monty fan. I think he's done a great job. And furthermore, what he's battled off the ice with his demons and the way he turned his life around and the way he's come back into the game. I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's an awesome person, but I thought that was a little weak sauce though. I mean, he threw that guy right under the bus. So hopefully if it doesn't work out, he owns it this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I don't know. I don't think people, especially the media, will accept another roundabout of him kind of throwing him under the bus.
Yeah.
And not taking the full credit.
Just own it. Like, I don't get that, guys, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's anything. As a reporter for so long, I don't mind people being wrong. Everybody's wrong, right? But just own it. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. And he's usually good at that, so we'll see what happens. But I'm with you. The bottom line is nobody's going to blame the goalie coach because he's not the face. He's not seen all the time. So, yeah, you're right. Montgomery's going to have to face the music if it goes awry. Felger
and Maz won't let him off the hook. That's to say the least.
Oh, my God. They just leave hockey alone.
Next up, basically it's a fill in the blank. Obviously, I think JR and I talked, prior to the season of what our expectations are for this team. And we were kind of both on the same path of we really didn't expect a ton. I don't think either of us expected them to be at the record that they have right now.
Right.
We felt like they were going to be more of a middle of the pack team, solid chance at the playoffs, but certainly not at the record that they are. They've overperformed again, which seems to be at least the second year in a row.
Mm-hmm.
For the Bruins to make a deep playoff run, they must what? What do you need to see out of them for them to, it doesn't even have to be to necessarily raise the Stanley Cup, but what's something they got to do to make a deep run?
Keep the puck out of net. Goaltending. That's it. I mean, that's plain and simple with it. That's their bread and butter. If you want to get a little deeper, I would say that they got to keep it simple. They're not the type of team that can finesse or try and sort of go outside the box. They need to stay within their system. They need, no matter what happens, no matter what the other and it's easy to preach that. They'll tell you all the time, we're worried about our own game. Well, you didn't look like it at the last game. When something happened, you kind of veered away from your system. They need to stay within their system. Don't let the other team rattle them, which is the key. I mean, Florida got under their skin as that series went on last year, namely Matthew Tkachuk. So I think goaltending and just keeping it simple.
Fair. Jared, how about you?
All right. So here's my thing. Like, to add on to that, along with keeping the puck out of the net and just playing better defense, it's also being able to get out of their own zone. Like the other night against Carolina, Johnny Beecher made 3 great plays to try to get the puck out of the zone, and they still got hemmed in. So getting the puck out of the zone, taking advantage of the neutral zone, and getting the defense more involved with the offense on odd man rushes, on just when they go through the neutral zone into the offensive zone, maintain time in the offensive zone, get pucks on net. Because I think the other night it was like 39-19 shots in comparison. So I agree with that, but it's also you got to be able to make plays when you're out of your defensive zone, but even make plays when you're hemmed in. Like I said, again, Johnny Beecher, great effort the other night, but you got to have more players step up and be able to do that. And once the playoffs come, the intensity, the aggressiveness, the tenacity gets raised. So you got to play with it.
I think it's a great point where you said get pucks on net. I think that's another thing that we saw them in their recent little 3-game win streak or 4 games, whatever it was, especially against Carolina down there. And then again against Florida, shoot the damn puck. Now, like I know what it's like. I was a Bruins fan. I grew up going to all the games, but you know, as you get to be more of a reporter and you start to think and you see it a little more from the guys' eyes and the players' eyes, maybe what they're seeing on the ice as opposed to the fans up in the stands, you start to appreciate, okay, when they're on the power play and they're whipping around, it's not as easy as it looks to shoot. You know, like you got to have the lanes, right? You got to have, and obviously with the way these guys block pucks today and how fearless they are, you can't just constantly shoot it, but you also can't look for the perfect play. And I think that's what's been driving Montgomery nuts. He kind of alluded to it last week on the power play is, you know, stop looking around and looking for the pass. Look for the shot. If the shot's not there, then fine, don't take it. But your first instinct needs to be look for the shot. And if it's there, put it in there because nothing bad ever happens from putting the puck to the net, right, guys?
Well, yesterday, the Blues and the Blackhawks, the Blues' first 4 shots all resulted in 4 goals.
Exactly. Yeah, now, again,
I mean,
they're playing Peter Mrazek.
That's basically where I think the perfect way to put it is that there's a fine line between just blindly throwing pucks on net, you know, just for the hell of it. But, you know, when you put the puck on net, generally more good things happen than bad things.
Exactly.
You know, whether it's a rebound.
You're making the goalie think. You're making the defenseman think. And you're creating chaos. And I think that's another thing that when the Bruins are on their game, they're creating chaos in front of the net, whether it's, you know, putting a big body there or like we're saying, getting the puck in there and creating a rebound. And just don't make life easy for the opponent. Make it miserable. And if you lose, you lose. But at least you know that you made it as hard as possible for that team to win.
Yep.
My thing with like the power play, as you were saying, is like a long time ago, I can't talk today. A few years ago, the power play coming out of the 2019-2020, like leading into the
bubble.
Yeah, the bubble. The power play in that season and going into the next season, which was like the division season. The power play going into that division season kind of fell off. Coming out of the bubble or like going into the bubble in like the 2019 season, the power play was actually really good. The thing is, I'm just noticing is they pass it a lot more. They're all, like you said, they're always looking for the pass, not the shot first. And if you've noticed the last few years, the way Sacco's like power play and penalty kill system is, when they're on the power play, they just always look for the pass first. And that's why people get mad and they're always screaming shoot because they're always doing these nifty little drop passes and just passing within the zone.
Yeah.
They just need to shoot more. I know missing Bergeron in the bumper is really big for them on the power play, but just changing the system a little bit, moving pieces around, and just finding a unit that works well will do miracles in the playoffs.
Yeah. Here's the other thing, too. Now, I'm not knocking him because I think it's great, and he's really shown that he's more than just a one-dimensional player. Pasternak has shown that he's really an amazing playmaker this year, guys. I mean,
oh, my God. That's all I've been able to say.
Yeah. Now, I go back sometimes. I'll watch old highlights of him. He's always had great passing skills, but he's never really had to use them. And I think what Pasternak has done a lot is try to compensate for the loss of David Krejci out there. And I see him doing that a lot. And sometimes he's passing up shots, but I'm not going to blame him because he's successfully passing. You know what I mean? Usually his passes do lead to goals or they lead to good chances. But the other guys, you're right. I mean, stop looking for the pretty play. Like, what's with Marchand lately? He never looks to shoot first. He's always holding back.
Always been a shoot
pulls
first
up,
player.
looks around. No, just go to the net, man. Go to the net. And I think that's going to be a key there. Now, the one thing I will say, does the power play need to be better? You're damn right it does. Is it essential to their success?
No.
I don't know. Go back and check the power play of the 2011 Stanley Cup team. Remember how many goals they had in the power play in that cup run? 3.
I was going to say not many.
There wasn't a lot.
They were 3 for 38 on the power play.
Jesus.
And they won the cup. So what I'm
saying
saying
is an anomaly or
yeah, of course it's an anomaly, but all I'm trying to say is it's not the end all be all. But what you can do is if you have a successful power play where you pressure and you get those chances and you're keeping these guys on their heels throughout the 2 minutes,
they're going to lead to make mistakes.
Once the power play ends, you got that shift after, which everyone says is the toughest shift of any, is after you kill off a power play, you're exhausted, right? You got to get new guys. Well, what if you can't get them on there? And what if those tired guys are still left on the ice? That's when you pounce, and then you can get that goal. And it may not be technically a power play goal, but it's sort of an extension of it. So that's why no matter what, just get that pressure on. Even if you don't score, I don't mind, because I think you're going to wear down the opposing team, and chances are they're going to get caught being exhausted on their next shift.
Yeah. I mean, like, you guys have obviously given the pretty two or three main points of what they need to do. For me, and it's kind of a cliche, kind of a blanket statement, but they need secondary scoring. I think this team isn't as deep as it was in previous years. I mean, obviously they lost, 2 legendary Bruins players from last year. They need guys like Geeky, Frederick, DeBrusk, Van Riemsdyk they don't need to be a guy scoring a goal every game, but if Pasternak is having a game where he's, not playing great, or Marchand's not playing great, they need a goal in big moments from these second-tier guys.
I think Frederick's the X factor there, guys. No offense to JVR. I think he's had a great career. He's great, but he looks like he's completely hit a wall. And, I don't know. I don't even know if he's going to be in the lineup. I mean, Maroon's going to
come. My cousin, it looks like he's lost his legs.
Yeah, it just does. And I think the team's known that. Like, I almost want, this is just, I have no inside scoop on this. I have nobody tipped me off. This is just me speculating. I wonder how sick he really was. Like, and I apologize to him if I'm saying this and he was sick and he was home puking his brains out. I'm sorry. But I'm just wondering too, like, the way it's gone, I almost feel like he's lost his spot in the lineup. And if Pat Maroon can come in and prove that he's still got it, he's got his legs, and he can show it in the final few games here that he can be a presence and really give them some oomph down on on the bottom line there. I think JVR is going to be watching the playoffs at least for game 1 from the press box. Yeah. And I think that would have been the case if Brazeau hadn't got hurt. I think the same thing would have happened. So I think he might be the odd man out. But I think, guys, Trent Frederick is the ultimate X factor. When he's on, he's on. I mean, he's literally one of the most effective players, I think, on the whole team when he's got his game going. When he gets those legs going and he's skating and he's motoring down the ice and he's got a hell of a shot that he doesn't use enough. He's pushing, he could get 20 goals. So I think when all is said and done, if they go on a little run, I think that's the guy. If I'm on your podcast maybe and they're in, late second round or they're in the conference final, you're going to say, why? I think we're all going to be in agreement that it's Trent Frederick. I really do. I think he could be that much of a factor for the Boston Bruins because of everything you just said with the depth that they lost. And the other thing too, guys, the center position. I know that Charlie Coyle and Pavel Zacher have done an amazing job. I'm not taking away with what I'm about to say. I don't mean any disrespect towards them. I think they've done an amazing job. But let's call a spade a spade. Neither of them is a 1C on a real Stanley Cup contender.
Yep.
That's why as recently as the trade deadline, Don Sweeney was still trying to acquire Elias Lindholm. There's a reason for that. That was not rumors. It was absolutely true. And chances are he's going to try and sign him if he reaches free agency, which it looks like he will. So they need a 1C so Charlie can fall into the 2C, Pavel into the 3C, or do they put Pavel at the wing? Because he's been very
effective on the wing when he's played. Did we lose him?
Yeah, I think he kind of went frozen. Not sure. But yeah, no, I mean, that was going to be, I guess, my next question. And he kind of jumped the gun is X Factor. And we'll wait to see if he can get back on. Let me see if I can take him out of. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously he said Frederick. Who's your kind of biggest X Factor here for the Bruins?
I've got three. Trent Frederick. What's it called? Trent Frederick, Johnny Beecher, Jesper Boquist.
All right.
If Jesper Boquist gets playing time, he's got a hell of a shot. And did you see the goal that he scored against Florida in overtime?
I did not. Oh wait, yes I did. Yeah,
that should say enough. I'm not saying he needs to play every single game or anything like that. But every now and then switch him out of the lineup. Throw him in. Fourth line player. What's the worst that can happen?
I mean, if you get production from the fourth line in the playoffs, it's
Johnny Beecher is a player that's built for playoff hockey.
Fair enough. All right. I think he might be back on. There he is.
Sorry about that, guys.
Charlie McAvoy.
We lost you for a second. We're just talking X Factors. I mean, that was going to be the next question, and you you answered ahead of the time with Frederick, and JR was given his.
You're saying Charlie McAvoy?
My list was
that's a good call.
My list was more. It was Trent Frederick, Johnny Beecher. I think Jesper Boquist, if he gets game time, could be an X factor. I think he would do decent with Beecher on the fourth line. But a guy like Charlie McAvoy, he's built for playoff hockey. He's a fucking stallion.
Yeah, so. You know what? I think exactly. I mean, I think so. When I think of X factors, I'm kind of thinking of kind of guys out of left field or under the radar. But I think so I said goaltending is the where they go. Where the goaltending goes, the team goes. I'll also say to an extension, where Charlie McAvoy goes is where this team goes, guys. Because let's face it, what he's done in the last month or so, when he starts shooting the puck, he's doing everything. He's out there. He's great, man. I mean, he reminds me so much of Drew Doughty in his prime. He's really just got that feel to him, and we all know what Doughty did in his prime with the Kings. So, yeah, I think he's a key as well. That's a great call.
I think if Brandon Carlo gets his head on straight too, I think he'll be. I think
Carlos had a great year, man. I think
he's had some moments.
He's been way more physical than he has in the past.
I've been seeing you on Twitter, making sure people know that McAvoy's been playing good lately.
No, and that goes back to those morons you mentioned earlier on the radio station here that carries the Bruins, ironically, and they don't know anything about hockey. But it's insane. I don't know what people like. Look, there's a lot of people. I'm pushing 50, guys. Truth be told, I'll be 50 in November. A lot of people my age or even above, they're stuck in some time warp where if a guy gets a big contract, then he has to be Wayne Gretzky, or else he's not worth the money. Did they actually really watch the games? Did they watch the little plays that Charlie McAvoy makes? Did they watch how tough he is out there? Did they watch the shots he can get off? All the little things he does. I mean, Ray Bork told me once, he said, I think he could end up being better than me. That's what Ray Bork told me. Okay. So I'll take Ray Bork's word over a bunch of trolls on Twitter who have no idea what they're talking about. And furthermore, just equate things by a contract. It's the same thing with Pastrnak. He gets killed because of the money he's making. But are they watching him right now? Where would this team be without David Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy? Not in the playoffs.
It would be very not that good.
No, thank you. I
mean, McAvoy he's kind of the outside of Pastrnak. He gets the headlines. He's got the biggest contract, but McAvoy is kind of the anchor of this team.
He is.
And if he can, I think we know what we're going to get from on the defensive end of the rink. But if he can be not so much a force where he's going to be scoring goals and stuff, but just a playmaker at the blue line offensively, it makes the offensive, side of the puck run significantly more smoother.
The thing
And
with
they get
Charlie
more
McAvoy,
opportunity.
yeah. The thing with Charlie McAvoy is people want to say like he's not Cale Makar, he's not Adam Fox, he's not anything like those guys.
He's himself.
He's Charlie McAvoy. He doesn't need to be like Cale Makar. He doesn't need to be like Adam Fox.
Exactly.
Those two players are anomalies.
Yep.
Like Cale Makar, I see the comparison. I can see the comparisons with Cale Makar to Bobby Orr, just with the way he skates and his play style.
Yeah.
But the people saying like he needs to play like Adam Fox or Cale Makar don't know what the fuck they're. Sorry for cussing. This is an explicit podcast, but they don't know what they're talking about because Charlie McAvoy, yes, he is a very good offensive defenseman, but his bread and butter is his defense and his skills in the defensive zone. He does all the right things at the right times. Yes, does he make mistakes sometimes? Yes, but guess what? Every defenseman in the NHL makes mistakes.
Exactly.
It happens. So yeah, he's going to be prone to accidentally making a bad turnover or not lifting his stick when he should have or not blocking a shot when he should have. It's going to happen. But for the people like Felger and Maz to say on the radio, like, oh, Charlie McAvoy is making $9.5 million per, and he's not scoring 20 goals per year like Cale Makar. He's not winning.
Do they realize that's going to be like a bargain soon? When the cap goes up?
The cap's going up in like 2 years once escrow is paid off.
Remember what people were saying about Marchand's deal when he signed it, or Bergeron and everything? They're all saying.
Oh, Marchand's deal was terrible at the time.
Murder contracts.
Look at it now. I mean, look at those two contracts now. What they are in today's NHL. It's people don't look at the big picture. They just, I get it. It is what it is.
They see a number on a screen and just go, oh my God, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, well, get with the time. It's not 1989. It's,
And they also don't, a lot of people with Pasternak's contract, they don't realize his cap hit's actual lower than his annual per year.
Yeah.
His cap hit's at like what? Just over 8.5, 9 million. And his actual like money that he makes per year is like 11 and a quarter.
Yeah.
Like he's not being paid that much on the cap.
Yeah.
But people just they just see a number.
And look at the year he's having without a legit, and again, I'm not taking away from Coyle or Zacha, but look at the year he's having without a legit number one center. And also, as we discussed earlier, being a playmaker that he's turned into too. He's still scoring goals. He's still, what does he got right now, guys? 46?
47.
47, yeah.
Okay, he could still hit 50. All right. Right? I mean, he's got enough time. He could still hit 50.
On Saturday, he could easily score a hat trick.
But then look at all the assists that he's gotten too, and look at what he's doing in terms of creating stuff out there. Like how many times does he draw people in, and then another guy's wide open because of him? Nobody talks about that, right? Because he's not the guy that's going to end up putting in the net. But think about how he frees up other players when he's on the ice, because
he is a
all the other teams are targeting him. Same thing with McAvoy; they're all targeting him. Think about the guys that McAvoy is going up against every night, the matchups he has to face. Nobody understands that. Yeah. That's where the value is in him, because you can depend on him to face every number one line, every top elite player. He can shut them down.
And people that haven't played the sport or have been watching it as long as you or I have don't understand this, because some of them just get into hockey, or they just kind of are casuals with it. They just don't understand, like, if you've played the sport or you've been around the sport long enough, you see things like the players.
Yeah.
The more you
hear, it's not all about offense. I mean, it's about the little things.
I mean, my favorite position, my favorite side of the game in football is defense. My favorite side of the game in hockey is defense. I love the big crushing hits, but I just like seeing how defensive players, like the defensemen, work in their own zone.
That's a great play. And guys, can we all agree? I mean, again, the average fans, the Felger Maz people will laugh at us right now, but I'm sure you guys will agree. Tom Brady doesn't win that many Super Bowls without the defense that the New England Patriots had all those years.
Yeah. Well,
especially the early years.
Defense doesn't sell publicly. And this goes across all sports.
It's not sexy.
Yeah, hockey, football. Like, even I'm a big baseball guy. Like, I'll take a Gold Glove baseball, a defender in baseball winning Gold Gloves, and people will look, the casual fan will look just solely at,
How
what
many
he's
home
doing
runs did he have?
Home
offensively.
runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, people will look at, I mean, Trevor Story is kind of a good example. Obviously, he just got injured,
Poor
but
Don't
guy.
get me started.
Oh, jeez, that poor guy.
he struggled when he came back last year, but even just what he did defensively for that team at shortstop and what he was doing before he got hurt was a massive difference from what they had. But I mean, going back to Pasternak, I mean, he's already 8 assists above his previous high. And
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that there's a lot of goal scorers in the NHL, and then there's a lot of elite players in this NHL. And I think one thing that turns you from a goal scorer to an elite player is your ability to be more than just a goal scorer.
Yeah.
And he's kind of seemingly not, and I guess it's part because of, things are a little bit different from last year.
Yeah.
There's no Bergeron and Krejci, and he kind of adjusted his game, but he's becoming more than just a scorer.
And guys, can we throw away the whole turnover narrative? Like, you know why he has too many turnovers? Because he's always got the puck.
Yeah.
You can't have turnovers when you don't have the puck. Well, I'd rather a guy who has the puck a lot. And sure, is he going to turn it over here and there? Yeah, he's going to turn it over here and there. But he turns it over a lot less this year than he did last season. And progressively, that has happened throughout his career now. He's turning over less. And he's playing a great two-way game in the last month. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about
I was going to mention that. It's really underrated this year. How much his defensive game has stepped up from the last 2 years compared to now. He every now and then you'd see him coasting. He's all in. He's playing all
I've seen him give up scoring chances to play defense. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have noticed that too. No. He really has. He doesn't care. He just wants to win. And I don't know what's wrong with that. And so, is he going to turn the puck over here and there? Yeah, sure. You know what? I don't have the stats in front of me, but I bet there were a lot of turnovers made by Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux, back in the day.
It's like you mentioned with him always having the puck. It's like comparing the turnover ratio for like a point guard versus small forward.
Yeah.
Like, of course the point guard's going to have more turnovers. He's always got the ball in his hands.
It's just common sense. I don't get it.
No, but yeah, I mean,
I think though, guys, when all's said and done, I don't think it's just sometimes the average hockey fan jumping in. I think we can all admit, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm part of it. I mean, as Boston people, we've been spoiled for 20 years. And I think there's a lot of people in the Boston sports fan base right now where it's either championship or bust, and they can't appreciate anything else. And it's almost backfired, so to speak. Like it's tough. I remember, guys, like I told you, I'm pushing 50. I mean, I grew up in the days when the Bruins are just starting to beat the Canadians in the playoffs, and that was like their cup. Like them beating the Canadians was bigger to them than hoisting the cup because they lost so much to them. Or the Red Sox, for the Red Sox to get to the World Series or get to the playoffs was a huge thing. Same with the Patriots. I mean, they get to a wild card game. They won a wild card game. It's like, oh my God, that was great. And we'd be happy with that. But now it's like, if you don't win a title, forget about it. And I get that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want excellence, but I just wish that people could appreciate players like Charlie McAvoy and David Pasternak, because I'm telling you, I travel all over the NHL. I'm in Montreal a ton, and people are laughing at this fan base for the way they treat those guys.
Yeah, and it's just sad because we've been spoiled as fans. I mean, the Patriots, the Red Sox, obviously the Bruins, and the Celtics.
We're seeing it a lot with the Patriots recently.
We've seen it a lot with the Patriots recently. Well, we can go into that.
They're going to suck for a few years. Who cares? And they may not. I mean, they may get a good quarterback in the draft, so who knows?
They don't appreciate watching a team grow. Besides Marchand, this team is extremely young.
Yep.
They're watching a young team who just lost 2 Hall of Fame players. Mm-hmm. I'll say David Krejci's a Hall of Famer.
I'm with you.
I'll say he's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
They just lost 2 Hall of Fame centers, and they have the best record in the Atlantic Division, one of the best records in the Eastern Conference, and a year after losing those 2 are back in the playoffs when nobody even expected them to. Nobody even expected them to have the roster or have the record they did last year going into the year. Pasternak was going to be out, or Marchand was going to be out. McAvoy was going to be out. Pasternak was just coming off hip surgery and all that stuff. So
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm glad you talked about when McAvoy was out too, because how much is what Hampus Lindholm did while McAvoy was out actually hurt him with the fans this year, because it kind of set the bar way too high. He exceeded all expectations. He went way above and beyond. He deserves a ton of credit for it, but he is not what you saw last year. I think that was an anomaly for him. I think Hampus Lindholm lately has been playing much better defensively. I think he's great to have on your second pairing there. Or if you want to throw him in with McAvoy for certain matchups, that's great. I think he's another guy that I don't think he's had the best year, but I do think he deserves more respect than he gets from the local media.
He deserves credit. He's having an off year. Like I said, players have off years. But I see the numbers and everything like that, the McAvoy Grizzly pairing. I just don't think it's going to work in the playoffs. And as much as
I think he's going with Lindholm McAvoy, guys.
I think it's going to – that's what I was going to say. I think it's going to be 73-27 is the first D pairing. And I honestly think it's going to be Carlo Lorai.
Yeah. It makes you a little top heavy, but I think that's what you're going to see because they can log the minutes. The other thing I was going to say, though, guys, about Pastrnak, too, is going back to us talking about his physical play and his grit. I love it. Like his emotions out there this year and how like just pissed off he gets. I love it. I didn't see that from him before. And I don't know why fans aren't getting attracted to that. It shows that he cares. He's not just out there, getting a contract, getting his paycheck, and I made my money, so I don't have to. And we see that
he stayed because he loves this city and this team, and he wants to win here.
Yep. So
he'll do whatever it takes.
I think right now he should be one of the biggest superstars in Boston sports. I really do.
Yeah,
I think he's never.
I'll tell you, if they go on a run, if they went on a run this year and won it, it would be a little bit bittersweet knowing that. Bergeron and Krejci just left.
I've said a million times. I said from the very beginning when we started this podcast, I'm probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Patrice Bergeron fan. I have like 9 of his jerseys hanging up behind me. He's been my favorite player since I was like 4 years old. If they win it without him, it's gonna hurt. It will hurt a little bit because I would have loved to seen him lift the cup one more time. But I know in spirit he'll be there because
if they win it, bring him out.
The leadership that him and Chara and Krejci, the culture him, Krejci, Chara, and Marchand built over those years, it's here with this team still, and it's the young guys taking over, and his spirit will be there. And I just know they'll do something for all those guys if they win it this year. Hopefully they do. It'll be awesome.
If they were to go on a run and win it, and they're hosting that cup, bring them the fuck out on the ice.
If y'all see me out drunk in Boston,
fans would freaking love
it. You know what they should do right now is just give him some made up position with the Bruins, right? Because then technically he's allowed to be on the ice and hoist the cup. As of now, the league won't allow it. But I mean, if you give him you're
is it a fine?
I know, but all I'm saying is just give him some stupid position right now. I mean, he's still out there. He's promoting
an advisor to coaching or something like that,
or an ambassador. He's an ambassador. He's a community ambassador. Given that, create some
special assistant.
They did that for Tuca, so
yeah.
Hey, so final basically question. I mean, we talked about Tampa being probably the most likely matchup. How do you think they match up against Tampa? And basically, what's your overall predictions for how the Tampa series plays out, if that's the case, and what potential run that they can make?
Well, so we were talking about this on the podcast I do with Pierre Maguire, the eye test guys, and I had said I was kind of I don't like this matchup with Tampa, and I basically was just saying I don't like Vasilevsky. I don't want to face that guy because he's the type of goalie that could really steal a series. We've seen it so many times. So I still think that's a threat. But then I was the other thing I don't like either. Can the Bruins handle Tampa physically? And Pierre made a great point. He says, well, who do they got to worry about beside Hedman and Paul? He goes, list 5 players that you're worried about physically on the Tampa side versus 5 on the Bruins. And I couldn't get past those 2 players, guys, off the top of my head. I mean, I'll pull the roster up right now. But
Anthony Cirelli's a fake tough guy, so.
He's a fake tough guy. Is that what you said?
He likes to act tough after the whistle.
Yeah, but he's a fake tough guy. Exactly.
He's a fake tough guy.
Exactly. So I'm just talking legit guys that, like a Pat Maroon or somebody, right? They don't have a Pat Maroon anymore. We've got the Pat Maroon.
I would say, yeah, Nick Paul, Victor Hedman, and
yeah. By the way, did you guys know that Victor Hedman has been a point-a-game player all season? I didn't even realize that. That's insane.
I follow a lot of advanced metrics.
Oh my God. He's having a hell of a year, man. How are people not talking about him as a Norris candidate?
He should win the Norris, but the Norris is a goal scoring.
It's an offensive trophy now. It's a sexy trophy. But yeah, I'm looking at the roster, guys, and I actually think that the Bruins could match up better physically than a lot of people think against Tampa. Now, if they go on to play Florida, that's a whole different story. I think I'll look at it this way. I see 7 games. Which way it goes, I don't know. But I do see a 7-game series with the Bruins and the Lightning. If it's Toronto, now this is where a lot of people think I'm insane, and I probably am. But this goes back to being a Boston sports fan when they weren't winning championships left and right, being a diehard Red Sox fan growing up, and not being able to beat the New York Yankees until 2004. The Boston Bruins are the New York Yankees for the Toronto Maple Leafs, if you get my drift. That's my analogy. They are what the Yankees were to the Red Sox and their fans for so long. That is what the Boston Bruins are. Toronto fans could care less if they win the cup. If they can beat the Boston Bruins, if they can beat the Boston Bruins, that is their cup. And the players know that. I think the players feel it as well. And you know how much of the playoffs is emotional and how much of it is built up rivalries and stuff like that. I mean, this is it. These guys know. If these guys can't get past the first round, they're blowing that team up. There's no way they can keep all. They're probably doing it anyways. I don't think that Marner and Matthews will be on the same team within the next 3 years.
I think Marner's getting moved to the West Coast.
I do too. Okay, so they know that this is their final shot as that core to do it. And there's a lot of built up resentment, revenge factor if they face the Bruins. I'd definitely rather Tampa than Toronto Maple Leafs. I know everybody's looking at, and on paper, I agree with you. If you're looking at stats, you're looking at all the things on paper, but mentally, I think Toronto's due. I think the Maple Leafs are really due. I don't want to go near them.
So you're buying kind of the opposite viewpoint of.
Well, if they go cross-checking to the throat again, the Bruins need to be out for blood.
Toronto, I think you kind of mentioned that they're the Bruins are the Yankees to the Red Sox of Toronto for over the years in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. I feel like Toronto's what was the Red Sox to every team.
Yeah, like, pretty much.
they never get the job done, and they always seem to choke it away.
And then you look at it, though. While I say that, I still don't know about the goaltending in Toronto. I mean, it's just
it's piss poor.
Advantage Bruins by like 100 miles. If they play in the playoffs, the goaltending is just so suspect there.
Their defense isn't even that good. A lot of like Maple Leafs fans are gonna like say our defense. Like, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. You can look at the numbers all you want, but that's an inflated thing. It's a lot of blown.
You know why their numbers are better defensively? It's not because of the defensemen. It's because a lot more of their forwards are coming back and helping the defense.
Austin Matthews is actually playing defense this year.
Austin Matthews is playing great two-way hockey, and you got Bertuzzi who can play a two-way game as well. So I mean, you got guys coming back that are helping out, that are making those defensemen look better in my eyes. So
the numbers are inflated a lot for their defensemen, but it's a lot of the help on the offense. Max Domi, Tyler Bertuzzi. William Nylander is the most underrated Maple Leaf on that team.
Yeah.
He should get more love. He should get the love that Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner get.
Yeah.
He's the only player that ever shows up for that team in the playoffs, ever.
We talk about X factors, though, guys. When it comes to the Leafs, I think their biggest X factor would be Tavares. Because if they can be 3 deep, if he's really on his game and they're 3 deep up the middle, they're gonna be tougher. Because
he's had a better year this year for sure.
Yeah, you got to be deep at center. I mean, that's how you look at all the champions over the years, right? They're all built from the goalie defense up the middle. So they're going to need a 1-2-3 punch there, which they haven't had in the past.
If the Bruins can win the cup this year without an actual true number 1 center, and it's 1 seed by committee by how it technically has been,
that's going to be
an anomaly.
Yeah, put it this way: if they won the cup and then go into free agency with the money that they'll have to spend, they'll be able.
And we don't even have the most money. The Coyotes have like $43 million.
All right, final
Who
question.
The Coyotes?
Huh? Salt Lake City, whatever.
Yeah, Salt Lake City question marks. That's what we'll call them right now.
Final question for you, Jimmy. Give me your Stanley Cup matchup prediction.
So I'm going to just stick with what I had from the get-go, even though I'm a little nervous about both teams right now. But I picked the Rangers Avalanche in the beginning of the year, so I'm going to stick with that.
Fair enough, JR.
Yep. I'm a big Cal McCarr, UMass alum, so a little.
As a homer, subjective. I'm obviously going to say the Bruins. I feel like Bruins, Vegas, Golden Knights. If the Knights make the playoffs, like a Bruce Cassidy, Jim Montgomery head-to-head.
Yeah, that'd be great. I thought last year we would have saw it, but
I was hoping, man.
Yeah,
that would have been a hell of a storyline.
Yeah.
Logically thinking,
don't sleep on Dallas. That's the team I'm really worried about.
Logically, that's what I was going to say too. Is logically, I think it's going to be Tampa-Dallas again.
Yeah, I think Dallas is probably the most well-rounded, well-balanced team heading into the playoffs right now.
Carolina's going to get.
I can't believe Colorado, they don't have a goalie. We were talking about Toronto not having a goalie. Georgiev's a nightmare. They're an absolute nightmare in goaltending right now. So they could be one and out guys. I could see Winnipeg if it ends up as it is right now. Excuse me. I could see Hellebuck easily stealing that series and the Jets beating the Avalanche. Even though I know McKinnon's on another planet, but I seriously.
Hellebuck's going to win the Vezina this year too. So
yeah, it's wide open. It's great. And by the way, you mentioned Vegas. What a deal they got with Hannafin.
7.8 or something like that.
That's going to be a steal next year.
Where are they getting this money from, Magic?
Well, they've got a ton of money coming off the cap. None of that counts right now, guys. They've got I think something like 9 free agents. So
they do.
I don't think Marchessault. I've heard Marchessault's gone. Yeah, Jonathan Marchessault is probably gone from what I heard.
Come to Boston.
Yeah. I don't know.
I want them to sign Sam Reinhart this year. So
that would be fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, what the Bruins do in free agency. Even if they don't make a deep run, they got the money to add what looks to be at least a couple very notable pieces.
Yeah,
it's already pretty young.
Imagine they
need another left shot D for the top 4.
And then ideally
Lowry's starting to work them up. I don't think Lowry's ready to handle top 4 minutes just yet.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy, I appreciate you coming on. This was obviously a good time. We, as usual, go well over the time that we expect to do. So,
I do the same thing all the time, guys. Good stuff.
If the Bruins advance a round or two, we'll have you back on and we can review the series and predictions the rest of the way.
All right. Good luck, guys.
All right. Sounds good, Jimmy. Take care.
Keep up the good work. Have a good one.
You too. Enjoy your night.
All right. Yep.
That was fun being able to talk hockey for longer than 10 minutes for once.
Yeah. Hey, I told you before the playoffs we would jump into things.
No, yeah, I know. It's just
we got to do the Celtics next week. I wish the NBA and the NHL were like a week or two off from each other, but they kind of line up always, pretty close to each other.
Well, like I said with our Celtics guest, better not be anybody that's doing awful things right now. So
yeah, no zero kid. Yeah,
that's horrible. That's a horrible situation. I feel horrible for Ryan.
All right. Well, we don't have time for the Red Sox this week, which is fine. But I do want to get into the New England Patriots.
We got a fun one for y'all tonight.
Our first ever Raise the Banner official mock draft. I'm hoping that the gods leave us Drake May. I don't know if they're gonna. What are your? Before we start quickly, what's your overall thoughts right now with the number 3 pick? Are you still all in on Drake May or?
This is how my mindset's been. Okay. I love Jaden Daniels. I love Drake May. As I've voiced it a lot with you and Ben, I really, really, really like JJ McCarthy.
Dude, I'm so torn between Daniels.
My thing is, I'm gonna agree with somebody in a group chat I'm in. His name's Connor. He's a Michigan fan. Shout out, Connor. My opinion will be the same as his. If it's down to JJ or Jaden Daniels and May's gone, I think you go McCarthy, just because what McCarthy does and what Daniels does is so different. and what McCarthy can do in a Van Pelt offense compared to what Daniels is like made for, I just don't think Jaden Daniels would fit this offense. I know the scheme can change, the system can change, the way it's run. But if May's gone, I just think McCarthy would run the offense that we saw Van Pelt run with guys like Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would do better.
Fair enough.
But I love Jaden Daniels. I've been very vocal about it. I love Jaden Daniels. He's an awesome player. I'm happy with whoever they pick at 3, as long as it's not that fucking loser Bo Nix.
It will not be Bo Nix.
No, I know, but I've seen some idiots on Twitter saying Bo Nix at 3. Let's do it.
Yeah, they can. I should approach those people the way I approach the Bailey Zappi people.
He's one of them.
What?
That if you've seen that guy that's like on Twitter, the New England NEP or whatever like that, he's the huge Bailey Zappi fan.
Oh yeah, trust me, I know.
Fucking idiot.
It's entertainment for a while, but it gets eventually you're just like
it gets stale really quickly.
So. All right, so I got it on the Patriots. We're gonna do moderate speed so we can kind of track it a little bit. Obviously,
should we do it more to what PFF thinks or what?
No, I mean, it's basically our own mock draft, so we'll take it as it goes. All right, let's see how this bad Larry plays out. There it is.
All right, we got lucky. All right, so I think we're with the consensus on this. It's going to be Drake May at 3 no matter what right now.
All right, with the number 3
pick in the NFL entry draft, the New England Patriots or the RTB crew selects Drake May, quarterback, University of North Carolina.
There we go. All right, now let's see how this plays out. McCarthy goes 6 to New York, which I think is very possible. They might not be traded into the top.
What tackles are on the board right now?
All right, so hold on. Let's see. So McCarthy went 6. I think there's a real chance, and I heard a little bit about it today that just ends up being what happens.
The Cardinals might move number 4.
They might, but I'm saying like I think that there's a real chance that if May goes 3 and Daniels goes 2, because I know the Raiders love Daniels.
Antonio Pierce loves him.
Connection. But I think if it's JJ that doesn't go top 3, I think that both of these teams might be willing to just stay put, because I don't know if it's Minnesota or Denver or I guess New York would love McCarthy enough to move up from. It takes one guy, one of them to really love him to move up, but I think there's a real shot that those two go. And then if the Giants have him at 6 and have the chance, I think there's a real shot he goes to the Giants at 6. So, anyways, back down to the draft picks. It doesn't.
Right, so what tackles have been taken? So Graham Barton, Amarius Mims. I want to say it's Fatanu, but Fatnau, Talisi Fuaga.
So Fashanu's still on the board.
So.
The one thing about PFF is that I don't like is
you got to stay right there. So would you so the Eagles are at 22 right now. What receivers have gone?
I don't think
it looks like there's a run on tackles right now.
Other than Brian Thomas Jr., that they're all still available.
Do you want to stand pat at 34, or do you want to try to trade up with maybe the Packers or the Cowboys? What do you think? If you're Elliott Wolf, sorry, not Wolf, like a dog.
Personally, if I'm betting a man of what I think will happen, is I don't think they'll be trading up into the first.
You think they might try to trade back in the second and trade back up?
I think that there is a better chance that they trade back from 34 and add another top 125 pick. So what do you want to do? I'll do either. I'm fine with moving up.
Well, it's our mock draft. You're the GM. Say so you have this run of tackles. Fashanu's still there. And he's my favorite tackle in this draft.
All right. So if you went to Philly, and I'll do this the right way because people don't do it. So if you use the Draft Tech website, pick 22
Use
is
the
worth
points.
780 points. Patriots pick is worth 560. So that's a 220 point difference, which equates to pick 74. So you got to think maybe a surplus. You probably have to give up a future third to move into this spot, at least. If not, I would say probably more than a future third. You're probably looking at a third and a sixth to move into this spot. Because 68 would technically be slightly above, but I think you're going to like there's going to be a surplus probably on the concept of moving up. It's not going to be a perfect fit. So
Wonder
68
if
would be above value, but I don't think that they want to be giving up
a first for a third.
I don't think they want to be giving up two major picks in the situation that they're in. You know what I mean? To get they want to keep 68. So I would say a future third and maybe 180. So you want to do that or you want to hold?
Slow down the pace a little bit on it. You see where it says speed up at the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and see what falls to like around 28.
Ooh, Fasciano's going to go before there, but all right. Bo Nix went 23. Ugh. All right, so I mean,
So 25.
So Fasciano's still on the board. Oh no, Fasciano won 10. What are we doing?
Oh, God, man, you're fucking confusing. All right, so Jordan Morgan's still there, but I just don't know if he equates to a tackle in the NFL.
No, I think he's more of a guard. The wide receivers are all still on the board. So you got to think at this point, Buffalo is like destined to take a wide receiver. Assuming Arizona goes Marvin Harrison, they're probably not. Tampa's probably not. Green Bay's probably not.
So
Detroit's probably not. And then you got Baltimore, who very much could, but I think they'll lean more towards defense, cornerback, or maybe right tackle. Tyler Guyton's a guy that I think going to Baltimore is a really good fit for him. And then obviously you got Kansas City, who could go right tackle. They could go wide receiver. They could go
I think
corner.
they're going to take Xavier Worthy. I really think they're going to.
So
or Ladd McConkey.
So if we wanted to move up to 25,
let's
25
try.
Is worth 720. This is worth, so we need 160 points, which would end up being, I think you could basically get just a future third for this move up.
Do 68 and a future third?
No, it would be 34 and 60.
Oh, okay,
34 and a future third for 25. You could do that. You could do that to move up to get, in my opinion, I would be moving up to get McConkey. I think he's just a magician. And
we have so many Z players though. You need an X.
I think he's more of a Y than a Z. I think he plays more outside. He's 6'1". He's not really a slot guy. He's more of a guy you move around. He could do a lot, but I mean,
see what it would take to jump to 27.
So let me play it out. All right. So Trop Robinson.
Oof. Kool-Aid's off the board. He should have been the first corner off the board.
Arizona is 27. So they get 680 to 560. So it'd be 120. So you're looking at, I think you could probably give them a future fourth and maybe another fourth. So
I think let's just stand at 34. Just let it go and stand at 34.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Guyton. Okay. I knew McConkey. Oh, McConkey. Okay, there we go. I'm kind of happy.
All right. So that's how there's no trades at 34.
I mean, we can mock any trade we want. Like, this is just essentially automated. Yeah. I think in a situation like this, right, you could see, and now I guess the argument is Arizona and Washington and the Chargers like these teams don't necessarily need a QB. But I think if you get into this point, and it's tough to mock this because Bo Nix is like, I think that this is where Michael Penix goes.
I think Bo Nix will go before Penix.
Oh, I definitely.
I think he will. I think he will. I think it's the medical thing that's still scaring people with Penix. Even though he's been cleared, I think that medical is just still going to freak people out. Both ACLs, shoulder surgery.
Personally, I think they're going to be like, I would be trying to move back here. Like, I'm not like, I look at these guys on the board. I mean, I don't like Troy Franklin that much. I think Jordan Morgan's a guard. Braswell, I like him, but
try to see if you can move back.
So one mock trade that I've seen a few times recently would be this. So it would be, you go down to Las Vegas, you do 44, 112, and a future fourth
for 34.
So you move back 10 spots, and you get add another top 112 pick, and you get a future fourth to next year. You want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, let's see how that. All right, so that puts Las Vegas there at 34. They go right tackle, which is a logical move for them. Rose Garden, all right. So now you're sitting at 44. Now you have an extra pick now you're playing with.
It's still late on my screen right now. I can't really.
Are you up to date?
No, it's still showing. It says. Okay, now I'm up to date. All right, so you're at 44. What do we have sitting for us right now?
We got Newbin, Fisk.
I want to see tackle and receiver.
So we could go. I don't even know how to say his last name, but I like him. He's a massive dude.
Emoji?
Yeah. Patrick Paul is gonna go. He's gonna go earlier than this. Like, I hate that they have him drafted this low. I mean, he's too. Like,
I know they brought Blake Fisher in for a visit, or they're bringing him in, or I know they talked to him. I just don't like Blake Fisher a lot.
I think he's a right tackle. I think that's just really what it is with Blake Fisher. I would be worried about him making the transition to left tackle.
Yeah, look at that grading. That's just horrible.
Yeah, it's not even so much like, I mean, overall the grading isn't terrible, but it's.
I'm looking at grades by game and gap rating and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's primarily at right tackle. He hasn't played left tackle at all since 2021, and even then that was very.
Kieran is going to be a development tackle. You're gonna have to develop him. I think he could step in the year after next and play left tackle, starting.
I would go. I mean, so that's a tackle. We can look at wide receiver. So we have Troy Franklin, Roman Wilson, Pearson, Burton, Coleman, Polk, Leggett.
I think
I would lean Patrick Paul here. Like, I think that's where I would lean.
I like Kieran Amedeji. I do, but I love Patrick Paul. He's a jumbo. And
I think Patrick Paul is.
He can move.
I think the upside of Kieran is a little higher, but I think Patrick Paul is more established. He's more NFL ready, and I also think that he can be, pretty. I mean, look at this. Like, I
honestly think he could start day one at left tackle.
You got right here. You got, what is that? 1,100 pass block snaps the last 2 years, and he's given up 2 sacks.
All right.
You want to go Patrick Paul?
Patrick Paul.
All right. With the 44th pick in the NFL draft, the New England Patriots select Patrick Paul, tackle out of Houston. All right. So we can watch this. Now they have 68. So and it's a top of the third. They got extra ammo. Is there a receiver that you're targeting? We could pause it here. Is there a receiver that you like that you're targeting here in the 50s, maybe?
Let's see who went. Go to receiver and see who went.
I can't go into the. I can't see.
Is Roman Wilson still on the board?
Yes, but you
go get Roman Wilson. Go get me Roman Wilson.
You want a slot guy? I know he's not.
He'll be a number 1. Unless Keon's on the board still.
Although at 68, I would be open to Keon Coleman. I think at this point I'm probably playing it out more, but I would say now again you got to play the whole situation. So Buffalo went tackle, so they're
gonna need to go to receiver too.
Yeah, they're primed to go wide receiver here. I would say let's wait it out until this range.
All right, let it go again
and see where things play out. And let's go to
like 65.
Well, now if we go to 65,
yeah.
you're gonna bypass teams that need tackles. Wide receivers.
See what the Houston Texans want. See what the Texans would want.
All right. Well, let's see how the Texans play. These picks play out. All right. So Jonathan Brooks, Troy Franklin. So you're now sitting at 59. You own 60, 68. You got 9 spots. You got to move up. We use the draft tech spot. That is 59, 310, 68. So you're looking at 60-ish points, which is roughly 117. So to move up there, you probably need to send the 112 pick. So you'd be looking at
112 for 59.
Now, who are you? 68 and 112 for 59. Now, who are you targeting? I think at this point, Roman Wilson's still on the board. I think
Roman Wilson, Javon Baker,
Jalen McMillan, who I fucking love. Polk's still on the board.
Johnny Wilson's on the board still, but he's not a second round
receiver. Coleman's still on the board. Who are you trying to move up for here?
I like Roman Wilson a lot.
All right,
I love Keon Coleman, but I just don't. What scares me is like the separation.
This is a slight overvalue. Let me see if I can make it exact. Basically,
I'll just see if you get like 2 or 189.
No, I won't be able to go that much, but
238.
Let's just go there.
That's gonna be like that's a high overpay for us. Let's try to get 238.
All right, that's about fair, I think, on the Draft Tech app. So let's see. There you go.
All right, let's see what receivers are there. Jalen Polk still there.
So personally, how I have them ranked of the remaining guys, it goes McMillan, Roman Wilson, Baker, and then I think Polk and Coleman, I think, are right next to each other.
I'm really high on Roman Wilson.
Yeah, I would be fine with both. I would personally take McMillan, but I would be fine with Roman Wilson, so we can go there if you want. You want to do that?
Yeah, I like Roman a lot. I like McMillan. I like Polk a lot, but
how tall is he? He's 5.
He's 6 foot.
5. Okay, he's up to 6. I thought he was 5'10" or 5'11". Yeah, so he's got some decent height to him. Yeah,
and people are saying like, oh, he's like a Pop Douglas comparison.
He's got the ADP here of 49. So there's a chance he's not available here. But we're playing it how it goes. Like players like this fall all the time.
We have it set. It's like it's more random because you don't know what's going to happen once the first 5 picks are done.
There's absolutely, and you also have to look at like just the situation right here, right before here. Doesn't need a receiver. Doesn't need a receiver. Well, they could, I guess, but they don't necessarily need one. Dallas could maybe go receiver, and they do. They could easily like Burton. They could like Coleman. They could like Polk more than Roman, like easily.
All right, well,
I think Javon Baker fits the Dallas mold perfectly. Like he's a
Polk and
perfect
McMillan both have a I'm trying to remember what I was reading, but I think it was Jalen McMillan that has a lot of Stephon Diggs in this game.
I think so. I mocked McMillan as like a Chris Godwin.
That's a slot.
I think. No, wait. It was not. Was it Chris Godwin that I put him? I marked. I think I might be mixing him up with someone else off the top of my head. Let me see if I could pull up. But I think he's more than a slot. Like Godwin's not. I wouldn't call Godwin like a traditional slot guy. Yeah, I mocked it, Chris Godwin. I think he's more of a. He's a like yes he can run inside the slot, but I think he can do more than that. He's 6'1". So yeah, 6'1". You know, it's up to you. I'll go.
What do you like more? I said I love the Washington receivers, and I love Roman Wilson. I like Keon Coleman because I'm a Florida State fan, obviously, and I love Johnny Wilson because I'm a Florida State fan, obviously. But
I would go McMillan or Wilson, so I'll let you pick between the two of them. That would be.
I just think Roman Wilson's so good. That's my thing. It's just I've had a hang up on him all year. It's just when they did throw the ball, he was the one that made a play.
Fair. Hey, I like him. He's my wide receiver 10. He comes in right after McMillan. I forget who was my wide receiver 9 off the top of my head, but
yeah, go Roman
Wilson. All right, so now we're at 59. We can speed this up a little bit.
The Bills took Keon.
So at this point, I think it's unlikely that we're going to be making an aggressive move up. We own 103.
I think that was the aggressive move we needed to make was to go and
we own 103, 137. Now remember, we do own an extra 4th, so
good double dip.
Yeah, so we could be aggressive if we wanted to. It's tough because we don't see the players available. Wow, McMillan fell all the way to 81. Holy shit.
Jalen Wright, wow. I saw a lot of people wanting us to take him in the 3rd.
No, there's too many other names of this team, and there's a lot of later round running backs I like.
I like Dylan Labe from New Hampshire.
Let's see. He was at the local pro day for the Patriots.
Him and Mike S.
Bucky. See, that's the one thing I don't like. Tampa already took a running back, I believe.
No, they didn't. They took a receiver.
Didn't they go running back in round 2? Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Well, it's random. It's random, so.
Yeah, but I think that it's supposed to, prioritize if the machine already took a simulation of that position. But anyways, let's run it through. Maybe we'll sit at 103, and then maybe we can move up from
back-to-back Florida State again.
All right, so now we're sitting at 103. It's the top of the 4th round. The Patriots have addressed their 3 biggest needs. They've addressed their left tackle spot, which Patrick Paul. They got a weapon in Roman Wilson, who's not traditionally a X of what they ideally need. But again, I've been very vocal about the concept is they need talent. Like they just need talent at the position more than anything else.
We got a quarterback, so we have the franchise quarterback.
Yep. So now we look at, at this point, and I've always been a go best available for the most part, and I still kind of lean that way. But in the end, they have very glaring needs on this team. So the top 3 needs are all available at this point. I'm going almost best available. Looking at some names, let's see.
We should get a corner.
I like him. I like Chris Abrams. Cade Stover is a solid tight end. I'm not sure I love him here.
Look at what the top defensive backs are, and then Is Muhammad Kamara on the board?
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, I think he goes earlier than this, though. I really
would love him on this team.
I really think he goes earlier than this, so I kind of don't love taking him, but I'm a big Muhammad. Just more underrated. I think he's like a early third round talent. So we can go defense if we go into the cornerback position. So they got a DJ James, who I like. I don't love his game. I mean, I like him. He stands at 6'1", so he's got good size. He's competitive. The one thing I do like is he's right here. I like to see this. This is very big for me when I'm looking at corners. Do they have experience? He's shown that. Chris Abrams, again, he's a little bit on the smaller side. He's not. I don't want to call him the traditional outside receiver.
He's like the size of Miles Bryant, maybe just like a couple inches taller.
Yeah. I like him. I think he's good. I think he's a pretty clean cornerback at this point. What are you thinking here? I mean, we obviously don't have to go corner either.
Let me see
we can look at the edge. I like Javon Solomon. He's an interesting guy. Obviously, there's Kamara. I'm a Grayson Murphy fan, but I think that this is pretty early for Grayson Murphy.
Decently early. For the mocks I've done, he's gone in like the 5th.
He's a 137. We own 137. I like the idea of taking him.
So I'm thinking we do need a safety.
Now, again, so I kind of want to, at this point, I think we should be focusing a little more best available, because there's really not a position on this team
Scroll
that
through.
we're like they're set. They don't need anybody.
Scroll up a little bit.
One name that comes to mind that I think could fit. Let's see if he's still available. Is right here.
Leonard Taylor. I mean, it just depends on if they get rid of Godshow or not.
Now, here's the thing. We have to remember this. Alonzo Highsmith just spent the year in Miami.
Yeah.
He's got all the experience in the world necessary to know about this guy. So, if he comes in and he says, he's the deal. I just think as a whole, if you look at, like, if you had to create a list of the 10 most likely Patriots draft picks, let's just say outside of round 1, Leonard Taylor, like anybody from Miami or Washington is going to be considered for that list. Because when you talk about, trying to hit on picks, especially when you're taking best available, when you have a guy that spent the year with these players, it's just such a huge, huge advantage of being able to understand the player and the talent.
I'm thinking I'll let you go with this one. I'll let you make this pick.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to do Leonard Taylor or do you want to do Muhammad Kamara?
Let's go Kamara. I've seen him some in round 2, which I think is early for him.
Round 3 to round 4 is the perfect spot for him. And I'm not even just saying this as a homer, as a Patriots fan. I think his strengths and what he does fits perfectly what we need and fits our defensive system.
I'm a very big fan of his game. 6'1", like, he's not big. He's not big.
But he's fast.
But he's like, I was gonna say he's fast and athletic. He's quick. He's a very, very agile defensive end. So let's go Kamara at 103.
He gets off blocks really fast too.
So now we'll sit here and, again, we're looking at best available. We could see how things play out. Now,
there goes Jarvis.
When we talk about the players that we needed, so we talked about like Chris Abrams. He's still there, right? Yeah, so he's still there. Let's track it a little bit more. Oh, there he goes. I was gonna say track it a little bit more in C. So let's stop it here just for the sake of it. And I want to look at the kind of the draft board here. Hold on. I'm going to pull up on my phone so I kind of have a better idea of this. So we're sitting at the pick 124. At this point, again, I think we're just like best available. And so when we talk about like potential pieces that are still available, Leonard Taylor is still available. Cam Hart Cam Hart went 120. Is there what other guys at this level? Ben Sinnott, so whatever, I don't know how to properly say his last name, the tight end from Kansas State.
Ben Sinnott.
Sinnott. Yeah, he's a very attractive. He's still on the board, but I'm not gonna I
don't want to go tight end this high.
Well, no, it's because he's gonna be a round 3 guy. He's not going later than round 3, and PFF just has him drastically
lower,
undergraded.
So
I like two guys that I like. Leonard Taylor. I like Christian Boyd, the D-line guy out of Northern Iowa. I like Grayson Murphy, but we're not obviously going to be going back-to-back edge tackles here. I mean, defensive end. Who do you like here in this range?
Can you show me what corners got taken?
Cam Hart went, Abrams,
Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I have nightmares of that kid.
So I think Kamal Haddon's still available.
I like Kamal Haddon, but I think if it's correct, Elijah Jones from Boston College.
Is he still available? I think so.
I really liked Cam Hart.
Cam Hart's out of the mix.
I know. I really liked him, and he's kind of one of the corners I wanted the Patriots to draft.
I think he's going to go earlier too, though.
He will. He's a Notre Dame player anyway, so
yeah. What's your thought here? You moving up for a corner? You want to stand pat?
Let's let it sit for a few more picks and see what happens. See what the board does. Elijah Jones, there he goes. Taylor, Colt Bishop. There's Haddon.
And I like Smith. Malik Washington and all right.
Let me see corners.
Kalen King. I don't love any of these names. Josh Wallace isn't.
Josh Wallace moves me, but not at this.
Yeah. Personally, I wouldn't be looking at cornerback at this point.
Let me see receiver.
Best available. So we can obviously go receiver again.
I think they need to double dip at receiver.
Yeah, but to what extent?
They have to, especially if they get rid of Juju.
I think that they can take a later round guy, like a Taj Wilson.
He's still on the board when we get later. I want Joshua Cephas.
All right, I like him at in the 193 range. So at 137 here, we got Christian Jones. He's a tackle out of
Braylon Allen's
Texas.
He
moves pretty well. What's that?
Braylon Allen's fun to watch. The running back from Wisconsin.
I do. I'm a big Braylon Allen guy. He moves really well. So Christian Jones has experience at both spots. Obviously, we took a tackle already. it couldn't hurt to double dip. Will Shipley is obviously a guy that can complement Stevenson this year. I really like Christian Boyd. I think he's a very underrated player, and he's been rising up boards over the last few months. Just an all around, like, he played at UNI, so like the competition isn't.
It's a lower ranked competition.
Yeah.
All right, let's just go best player. Let's see what the best player available is.
So it's Cooper Beebe. He's not going to be here. I'm not taking him. He's going to be a top 3 round
Christian
pick.
Jones has a lot of penalty issues, but I mean, oh, there's a name I like.
What? Oh, Jordan Travis.
Let's go Braylon Allen.
All right, I can mess with that.
We need to take a running back anyways, so.
All right, let's get this going. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. All right, you know what? Let's go right here. We'll just go right to pick 180.
Okay.
So at this point,
you already know what I'm going to say. You already know.
I think he's going to. I think he's going to go ahead, but I mean, let's for the fun of it.
You have to.
For the fun of it. We go here at 193. Now, like, we took Braylon Allen.
Double dip at tight end.
No, yeah, we're definitely not double dipping there.
Brendan, have you watched any of Brendan Jackson's film?
I mocked him to the Pats like early on. He's a guy that's like will stick around the league and as like a.
He's a rotational edge.
I like Jalen Green. He's an interesting player.
James Madison player. Oof.
You know, he's got, when you lead the country and right there, lead the country in both sacks and tackles for loss.
I wonder what would you want to address? Would you rather address? I think we need to address defense because we've gone.
At this point, I would be leaning defense, but again, like I'm best player available, so it's, I think this is a very possible option, but I think he goes. I know the Pats brought him in, and they're interested in him. Could go there.
We're sitting at 193. I think we could probably trade up and get.
Ooh, this is an interesting spot here. You interested in Josh Wallace here?
I just said Josh Wallace moves me.
Yeah. You want to go
Josh Wallace? I mean, he was the other corner besides Mike that.
Yeah, let's go Josh Wallace. And that'll leave us with 2 7th-round picks.
Hold up, stop it. Is Cephas on the board?
Yeah.
See if Philly would take 231.
I can offer that.
Go get Cephas.
All right, there you go. There you go. There's
our he's so good. He's so good. Like, and this is just 1.0. This is just our first mock draft. So.
All right. There it is.
Yeah, I don't like their grading system. How they have Patrick Paul as a D- when he's going to probably be one of the first tackles taken off the board in the second round.
Yeah, I mean that's because they have him graded so low. That's why I wasn't fine. I was fine with making, keeping it how it is. But all right, yeah, that's mock draft 1.0. We'll leave it at that. I mean, we've been at this for a while now. We'll be back next week. We'll be doing it probably. I think we got 2 more mock drafts we can do before the actual draft comes. But
we got 2 weeks, so 17 days.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is I would be as a whole relatively pretty happy with this. I like all these players. Two Michigan guys to get my boy Drake May, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. So, all right, until next week, we'll be back with episode number 34. Hopefully, Ben can join us back next week.
He's playing
but
cribbage
until
tonight,
then,
so
yeah, cribbage. Take care.